20 content ideas for graphic designers and artists. Specifically, we're going to be talking about Instagram today. Hi, my name's Maria Toka. I'm a freelance graphic designer, and I hope that after watching this, you'll have a clear idea of what exactly you should be posting on Instagram to finally grow your art account. I'll be sharing a lot of examples, so you can just adapt them, do the same, and see what happens. And before we start, just a quick disclaimer that in my video ideas, I'm not going to be focusing on specifically going viral, because if that's the only goal, graphic design is probably not the best niche for this. You should probably be doing pranks, or just walk down the street and ask people weird questions, or just talk about politics. I don't know what else going viral these days. Not necessarily graphic design, but our goal is to grow your account as a designer or an artist without changing your niche, because we see Instagram as a tool to grow your career, not the other way around. Your career as a tool to grow your Instagram, because what's the point then? We want to attract potential clients and people who are genuinely interested in what we do, in our art, design, which is what's called loyal audience. It's much more valuable than millions of views of just random people who just appreciated a joke but have zero interest in art or design. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not against going viral. Of course, if any of your videos will go viral, that's going to give you a massive boost, especially if it's on your specific topic, not just something random. But it's not the main goal, just something that can help, but it's not that necessary. I already have a video about what formats work well on Instagram right now, what specifically helped me grow my account to 100k followers, which is what I achieved recently, and I give you quite a few examples in that video. So this is more like a part 2 where we're gonna dive deeper and I'm gonna give a lot more examples. So without further ado, let's just jump right in. And the first important point I have to make is that Instagram is not the same as TikTok. There are some specifics to it. The main difference I've noticed is the quality of the content. Usually Instagram requires higher quality. I mean the production quality, not just in general quality. I've noticed that you can't really get away with just chill, laid back videos, a talking head that you record on the go or in your car, just some random thought came to your mind, or when you're getting ready or you're cooking and you just telling something. Typically on Instagram, people see it as low quality, especially when the lighting is bad. They're not gonna watch it unless you're covering a very specific, very popular and triggering topic that everyone is interested right now, and that's how you have a really strong hook. But I don't know, it's really difficult to come up with those types of hooks within graphic design or art niche. I guess you need to be talking about politics then, or something very controversial. So you need just to keep that in mind, that you need a clear, well-lit picture and good quality audio. If you don't have a microphone, you would need a very quiet space, and you need to speak clearly, fairly close to your microphone on your phone. But it's better if you have at least a cheap mic, or the ones that comes with wired earphones from Apple. As far as I know, it's okay quality. The ideas that I'm going to be suggesting work not only for Reels, but also for carousels. I'm talking more about the themes and how you can present your art, how you can show yourself as a professional, as a creative, so you can adapt it to different formats. Well, specifically carousels and Reels, I would recommend. And let's start with the first one. And the first video I found for you is when you use the hook I design blank. Here is some of my work, or you can adjust it. You can say something like I make this, I create this, and here is some of my work. Keep in mind that it needs to be really short, the intro. Usually this hook, to me, what's working well is 3 seconds. 4 seconds is usually a bit too long, unless something interesting is going on. And 2 seconds sometimes is a little bit too short. So for me, the sweet spot is 3 seconds, but you need to test different length, whatever works for you. And yeah, this is just a good way to show your work. This is one of the fundamental types of Reels that we need to be using, even if it doesn't perform particularly well. You just need those as examples of your work. Sometimes, if everything is thought out, if the picture is really good, clear, cinematic, everything looks beautiful, the initial hook is short enough, sometimes it takes multiple attempts, and I don't know, maybe your 10th video like this will gain a lot more views than the others, so there's a high chance you would need some patience with this format, and maybe you will need to repeat it multiple times. What's gonna help is just to intensify the hook and make it a little bit stronger, more controversial, maybe to add triggering words to it, or to add a visual hook, like something is interesting is going on with your appearance or within the frame, just to strengthen this hook a little bit. The second idea, a controversial statement plus time lapse of your work process. Again, don't forget about the good lighting. It shouldn't be just a dark corner where nothing is clear what's going on, that you're working. It should be clear from the first glance. Controversial statement can be either something trendy, like those trendy hooks that you can find in your Reels section. For example, this popular phrase, "Sorry, I have plans," which means this is your plans, just to work on your art. Or it can be an unpopular opinion, something that everyone believes to be true and you think differently, but be ready for hate in your comments in case if it goes viral. By the way, if you want to research unpopular opinion ideas with ChatGPT, I can tell you that in my experience, it doesn't really suggest anything decent. Every time I ask ChatGPT what are the unpopular opinions in design community, it gives me some opinions that are really popular or something really obvious, something that everyone already knows. So I can clearly tell ChatGPT is not a graphic designer. It doesn't understand the culture, the context. So you just need to pay attention of what everyone is talking about right now. I know that AI can be a really controversial topic right now. So if you have any specific opinion that you don't hear often that people talk about, please feel free to share in these kinds of videos, but be ready for different kinds of comments. The third idea, analog and handmade process. This is especially good for artists, but if you're a graphic designer and your work is mostly digital, just try to print it, because this is so satisfying just to watch something physical. So you don't need to think much about your aesthetic environment. You can just film in this flat lay style, shot from above. The process of how you're assembling something, or creating a collage, or you're drawing, just whatever medium you prefer. And don't forget, it should be fast-paced with a lot of jumps, so show only the interesting clips for very, very short time. The fourth idea is filming yourself outside. You probably need somebody else to help you with this, but this is a good example of how this guy is searching for inspiration on the streets, capturing different textures, ripped paper. So yeah, again, if you film it in a really fast-paced manner, highly aesthetic and inspirational images, that may work really well. Inspirational and aesthetic, I mean specifically for artists and designers. Maybe other people wouldn't find anything that interesting in it, but it still should look pretty decent, stylish, if that makes sense. Plus, people love seeing you when you show your full body, because it's very, very rare. All the talking head videos, the internet is flooded with them, and it takes a lot more effort to film the full body, because you need an assistance and you need to find the right lighting. So not many people are doing it, which means that if you do it, you already have a chance to stand out. The fifth idea is revealing my art. Even better if you have a strong hook with it. These kinds of videos, I already mentioned it in my previous video about Instagram, that I don't really recommend this format, but I've noticed that when you use a strong hook, it has a higher chance of performing really well. By a strong hook, I mean some phrases about you, or some triggering words that you can add in the phrase of your title, like something a little bit more interesting and attention grabbing than just saying revealing my work or here's my art. I'll try to find good examples of this. The sixth idea, a statement that somebody said to you allegedly, but you're gonna contradict. For example, when you say, how I made this in just 5 minutes. Or like when somebody says, oh no, you can't do this in this style. Oh no, this is impossible. And then you're just showing the process of, or a slideshow in really fast-paced, how you actually did it, that it is possible. So you're just contradicting the statement that somebody tells you. So I guess the examples would illustrate what I mean a lot better, but it has to be something actually triggering, not something that people don't care about. Like, oh, you can't use yellow in this design. People will be like, why? I don't care about yellow. It should be something that makes sense. The seventh idea is for digital artists and designers. Simple screen recording. These types of content, I've been noticing myself that these types of screen recording performing worse and worse throughout the years. They used to perform really, really well like 3 years ago, and now it's harder to stand out because they need to be shorter. You need to show only the key, the most interesting moments with close-ups, really fast jump cuts. But what I've noticed recently, if you're showing a very large image without even showing the entire frame of your Photoshop window, it tends to perform better, at least from what I've noticed. So there is still a high chance that it's going to perform well. So you just need to try multiple times and see what works better. The eighth idea is analog, fast-paced slideshow. Again, just because it's analog, I think it's already a winner. People consider it as highly aesthetic, but I'm talking about specifically this slideshow, and it's so fast-paced that it looks like animation. It takes a little bit more effort and time to create these, but usually it works really well. Like, I've seen multiple times that these kinds of videos, they go viral, especially if you use the right sounds, like this camera clicks sounds each time that you're showing a new image, or some other satisfying sounds. So just experiment with that. The ninth idea is not necessarily about a particular hook that is gonna make your video viral or your carousel, but it's a more broad concept, is to create a series of something, like a challenge. For example, recreating famous posters in my style, part 1, part 2, part 3, and I think you can do this challenge for like a week, but keep in mind, I think I'm gonna repeat that for every single idea. It should be short and fast-paced. Just imagine that only ADHD people are watching your videos. Unfortunately, this is the current culture on Instagram and TikTok, and we need to adjust to that. And the title, which is your hook, should be short enough to read it really, really fast and understand it straight away. So don't make the title like this series, how I'm redesigning this particular brand from this style to another style. Like, if it takes me longer than 3 seconds to read the title, I'm not gonna read it. Or even 2 seconds. It should be 1.5, something like that. But it may work well just for your account, especially for your already existing followers. So they would be curious to see the next part and the next part. If it turns out to be interesting, they may get hooked on this kind of content, especially if you post it every day, like at the same time. It may become like a habit for them to see your new video today about this. So that's something people are going to be expecting from you. The 10th idea is split screen. I've tested it multiple times, and I must say it usually works really well for me and for other people as well. When you're comparing something like Canva versus Photoshop, beginner designer versus pro designer, trendy versus outdated, people just like this really simple visual comparison when you can see everything at once, but it shouldn't overwhelm the viewer visually. Just don't provide too many pictures, too many examples, and too long titles for each half of the screen. It should be like pro designer, beginner designer, and that's it. Not like a pro designer who worked for 10 years and they know everything about Photoshop, and at the bottom if you're saying like a beginner designer who just graduated university, this is too long. People are not going to read. As soon as they see so much text, they're going to scroll. Really short titles. And just a quick break, because honestly, if you're feeling too lazy to come up with content ideas yourself, you can now build an app for that. Emergent is a platform where you can build full apps in minutes just by typing a prompt. You don't have to know coding. Nothing complicated. Literally, you just describe your idea and it creates the app for you. I mean, how cool is that? Build me an app that helps creatives come up with content ideas. I tried it with the Content Ideas app, and here's what it made. It actually asks me these questions, something like format, energy level, my goals, etc. Then it suggests something super specific, tailored to me. For example, post the behind the scenes reel showing your sketching process, quick to film, personal, and connects with your audience. Perfect. I really enjoyed playing with this. You can literally build any creative tool you need, not just this one. So if you're curious, check out Emergent, and huge thanks to them for sponsoring this video and supporting the channel. And back to the video. The 11th idea is listicles, checklists, tips or hacks. Ideally, if you use voice, even if it's voiceover, but the hook should be really short and those listicles should be about something trendy, ideally, because it may not gain a lot of views, like less of a chance. So just make sure it's something relevant. But if you watched my previous video about Instagram, you would know that I recommend you creating carousels with listicles. They perform a lot better than reels, at least in my case. Maybe it's different for somebody else, but just try it. Just trust me. If it doesn't work, okay, just don't listen to me anymore. But what if it does? We'll see. Yeah, it can be listicles, something like my favorite Photoshop tools, but no more than 3 tools because the videos shouldn't be too long. My favorite resources that I recommend. 3 ways to find design clients. My 3 websites, my 3 apps for productivity as a freelance designer, something like that. The 12th idea is reviewing somebody else's design and showing your opinion. So it can be screen recording and your face on top of it, and you're just saying your opinion about what's working and what's not working in this design. This is really good for showing your expertise, because if you want to attract the audience that you're gonna monetize someday, these kinds of videos, they are really helpful with that, because it's gonna show you as an expert. Whether you want to attract design clients or other fellow designers, either way is going to be really helpful. Even if it doesn't gain a lot of views, it just adds your credibility more. And if you want to increase your chance of going viral, you can be a little bit more critical, roast somebody's design, but then you need to be ready for bad comments or those people whose design you criticize, that they may be offended. So just keep in mind that, but it has higher potential. Like negative stuff gain more views for some reason. If you really need views right now, I mean, I wouldn't judge you, because it's just your opinion. It's not like accusing somebody of something, but just don't insult anybody. Like, I guess that is a bit too much. Yeah, it can be designs from pop culture, trends, like a recent album that just came out. Why not review its cover? Or a recent movie that just came out and you can review its poster. Somebody's book cover, like a bestseller book. It can be street design. There's less chance that people who designed it will ever see your video, so you're more safe to criticize those designs. It can be some design that you found on the internet, but here you need to be a bit more careful. It can be your old designs. Oh, you can be very critical because nobody's gonna get offended other than yourself. Or it can be your followers' design. If you already have a little bit of an audience, and you can ask them to submit their work to you and you can review their design. But in that case, you need to be a bit more gentle, I guess. But it all depends on your style of communication and how critical you are. 13th idea. Stop doing this. Do this instead. I've noticed these kinds of reels, they have a high potential of going viral, especially if you make it in a really bold, big font. Stop doing this. Stop using this. The hook is really short, and then you jump right in the solution. So if it's produced and edited really well, there's a really good chance, I would say. The 14th idea is educational for your potential clients. not only designers who you're gonna teach how to be a designer, because you need clients as well, right? For example, like 3 signs that you need a new logo, or why designing a logo isn't enough, why you need a full brand identity, what brand identity includes, what every brand needs to have in terms of graphic design, what happens if somebody tries to make their logo themselves in Canva in 5 minutes, why is it not the best idea, why companies pay millions for a logo design. This is a really interesting question that just regular people have no idea why, but they would be curious to know. Again, I'm going to repeat that in 100 times. It should be short, fast-paced, ideally if you include a lot of B-roll, examples, something visual, not just talking head. The 15th idea, my recent client project. This is again just for demonstrating yourself as an expert and somebody who's got real clients. It has a lot more potential to attract new clients because they would see, okay, she's probably really high in demand as a designer, so I need to book her services in advance or something like that. Or at least they will see the example of what you can offer, which is great. Obviously, it's going to help you land new clients. So even if these kinds of reels don't perform really well, they don't gain massive amount of views, they are just really useful to have as like part of your portfolio. Short clips of the process with short comments along the way and possibly adding titles, names for each step. And you want to start this video with a short hook phrase, not just like my recent client project. That's not triggering enough. You should start with something more emotional, something like my client hated it or my client absolutely loved it, and your emotional face also is going to help. The 16th idea, my work setup as a graphic designer or an artist. Let's not forget about artists. Very clear title, ideally plus your voiceover and names of each component of your work setup. That's going to be really helpful and potentially very savable type of content, especially if it's aesthetically filmed. Yeah, it has quite a good potential. The 17th idea, my essentials as a graphic designer or an artist. A good way to show it in a flat lay style, maybe even like an animation with really fast-paced clips of each object appearing and the right sound effects with each transition. Those kinds of videos are really satisfying to watch and also very savable because some beginner designers or artists may be interested in what kind of equipment they would need. So potentially they're going to save it for later. The 18th idea, unusual fact about you plus your design process or a slideshow. Basically, an unusual fact is a hook here, like this guy just said that he's really, really young and he already designed this. This is pretty impressive. What kind of unusual facts? Just think about if you have anything that is different from other people. I don't know, if you say ADHD designer, I know that it's not that unusual. A lot of people have ADHD, but a lot of them are undiagnosed and they have no idea if they actually have it or not. And also it's just a really popular topic. Or something like, I don't know, some drama happened in your life and you designed this straight after that. So just think about something really unusual fact about your life. Even just your age sometimes may be triggering for someone. If it's not like too young or too old, it may be not that viral worthy if it's you're 20 or 30. But for some people, for a niche group of people, for 20 years old or 30 years old, it could be really triggering because they would find it very relatable. So yeah, you just need to think a little bit more about your personality. The 19th idea, rating somebody's designs, which is similar to reviewing somebody's designs that I already mentioned, but in this case, you don't really comment on each design too much. You just give them a rating. You can say just 1 or 2 phrases for each one, and it should look like a game where you have points, or like even without points, you may not go as far with the editing. You can just give a number like how many points out of 10. Again, you would probably need a strong hook for that, but some very punchy triggering phrase would be enough. You don't need necessarily anything specific happening in the frame. It can be talking head plus b-roll when you're showing the designs. And the 20th idea is my essentials as a designer, but in this case digital essentials. Like, what are your essential tools that you can't live without? You can frame it as a designer starter pack, which is also also really valuable and savable content. So if it's filmed really well, it has a pretty high chance of performing well. And that's 20 ideas that you can try out. Honestly, you don't need to overthink it. Just pick one and start. Let me know in the comments which one you're going to try first. I'd love to hear. If this video was helpful for you, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel so you won't miss the next one. Thank you so much for watching and see you guys next time.